Youth Ministry Nation, it's AC, my friend Kurt, and we have a visitor, Pastor Steve. Let's talk youth ministry.
Yo, dude, welcome back.
Hello.
Yo.
What's up?
All right, we do have a mailbox full of questions, so
Yeah.
keep the questions coming. If you have a youth ministry question or a topic that you'd like us to discuss, you can send us an email at Let's Talk. Is it Let's Talk?
Talkyouthministry@gmail.com.
Talkyouthministry@gmail.com.
Yes.
Also, if you'd like to subscribe to this podcast in video form in YouTube, click that button right over there. Also, you can now subscribe in iTunes for the audio version of this podcast.
Let's Talk Youth Ministry. You just search it. Let's
Yes.
Talk Youth Ministry podcast.
Yes. Currently ranked number 85,322 in the youth ministry category.
Yes.
Nice.
So we're moving up.
Nice.
Just type in under 100 views. You'll find us. You'll find us.
All right. This week, special guest.
Yes.
Now, you wouldn't know it by looking at this guy. See, the perceptions are already flying.
Yeah.
About your line of work. Because
Yeah.
I led with you wouldn't know it by looking at this guy, which is perception based. It's stereotype
It
based.
is. Is that right?
They're like, is that Rick Warren?
It may not be right or wrong.
Is the head, you got head?
Steve Adams is Saddleback's children's minister.
Yes.
Yep.
Pastor to children at Saddleback Church, oversees everything from birth through 6th grade. At all the campuses and international, Hong Kong, Berlin, Manila, Buenos Aires, 8 local campuses in Southern California. This guy's a children's pastor. Round of applause for our good friend.
Thank you.
Now, I said you wouldn't know us by looking at it because he doesn't look like your stereotypical children's pastor.
And what is the stereotypical
Let's not go there. You don't want to know. You don't want to know, Steve. You don't want to know.
That's your show.
Well, he's wearing all denim.
He is wearing all denim.
It's a work day, man.
Which is not stereotypical.
No.
It's a work day.
I think your stereotypical children's pastor is a little bit frumpier, a little bit less male, more.
I don't know where this. I don't like where this is going.
More patterns on their clothes. Frumpy is a terrible phrase.
You said it already. It's already out. It's already done.
I'm just saying perception.
Yeah.
Stereotypes that us arrogant youth pastors have about children's pastors, which is why we have Steve as our guest.
To break all of those.
To break every stereotype today. We're going to talk about youth ministry in relationship to kids ministry.
In 20 minutes.
Sounds to me like you brought me here to make fun of me.
Well,
That's what it sounds.
That'll be up to you. You might tee it up. Steve, if you tee it up, we will make fun of you.
I understand. I respect it. It's got to happen. I get it.
Steve's actually one of my very best friends on staff. We've worked together now for
Almost 8 years.
almost 8 years.
Wow.
And we'll get to this in a minute, but I think one of the reasons why we started off on the right foot was more on you than it was on me. And one of the first conversations we ever had with Steve, that I ever had with Steve, was Steve coming to me. We probably met during the interview process at some point, just said hi. But you came in my office and right out of the gate, you said, "Hey Kurt, what does our junior high ministry want?" What the world is that? Elephant on roller skates? What in the world? Kids ministry puppet show? What's going on back there?
Oh, yeah.
But you said, what do you want the graduating 6th graders to look like spiritually? In other words, you tell us, you're the experts with junior high, you tell us what you want us to produce or to educate, and we'll do that. We'll in essence give you what you want us to give you. Which I thought was awesome, because that's not the norm. The norm is, we're going to do it our way, youth does it their way, neither of us really know what their way and their way is, but it all shakes out in the end, and if it kind of meshes, then we got lucky.
Yeah.
But for you to, from the get-go, say, we'll bend our program to hand you the types of 6th graders that you want us to hand you.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, so thank you.
Sure.
You're not doing a very good job at it, but you are trying.
We gave it a shot. Well, even still though, the way you guys function in youth ministry is still a little bit different than the way we function in children's ministry. However, what that conversation established was that we were all working toward the same objective.
Right.
And that's what I think is missing in some churches. It's just because of the differences between children and youth, and some churches they're pretty. Those differences are pretty big.
Right.
But if they can just come to consensus on, we're really trying to accomplish the same thing. We're trying to move these kids towards spiritual health, even if that's not the language that you use.
Right.
We're still we're still striving to benefit these kids. So, my question was centered around what's happening in the junior high community. What's going on there? What does a kid need to have active in their life to be able to be a successful Christ follower?
Right.
And then we work backwards.
Right. Right.
And then from there we start working, and that's why we have to have that conversation annually, because it
changes.
changing.
It changes all the time.
That's awesome.
Well, I think one of the benefits, we talk about the benefits all the time, and there's so many benefits, and it's not every church doesn't do it, and it's not the only way to do church, but having a unified purpose statement / ministry strategy or paradigm that goes through the whole church organization really helps that. Because you and I are expected, by virtue of the way our church is structured strategically, to be in cahoots with each other.
Right.
Because we're both working towards, you want to know, hey, what kind of 6th grader should I hand you? We want to know what kind of college kids do we need to hand, and they want to know, because we're all working towards the same thing. So in some ways, as awesome as it was that you asked, there is some truth that you didn't even need to ask at Saddleback, because our model kind of dictates the type of kids you're handing us. Kind of dictates the strategy. It forces us to be working together whether we want to or not.
Yeah.
Which is a benefit, right?
Yeah. But that question, that conversation, then hearing your response, then I use that response to ask certain questions of what we're doing.
Right.
And even reflecting on the discipleship pathways we create, the type of ministry that we have. Is it producing what you described?
Right.
Is that going to put us one step closer towards what you described to me annually? This is where a junior high age kid is. This is what's going on in that world.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
How important is that conversation? Because I think you may have a lot of youth workers that are like, hey, I'm getting these students from junior high and up, and I come in new, I really don't care about children's. How important is that for maybe a new youth worker that's just getting to the church and maybe is trying to hit the ground running, providing for his own ministry? How important is that that step to go, hey, let me reach out to children and have a conversation?
Oh, I think it's really important. And if that children's person doesn't come to the youth guy or the youth girl right out of the gate, I think the youth person needs to go to them. Just because what it will say to the children's person is huge. Because a lot of times in children's ministry, we get the feeling that you guys don't want anything to do with us.
Right.
We get the feeling that you guys think we're all a bunch of
babysitters
and
frumpy.
Yeah.
We're very colorfully dressed.
Colorful dresses, aprons with little crafts.
Puppets. It would puppets at any given time.
I'm afraid I'm going to get attacked by puppets.
Always willing to pull out a sock puppet.
Outboard in the trunk. Lift it up.
A little pipe cleaner that's going to get bent into a little
Or that we all take pictures with puppets with us in a photograph. Yeah. Well, some people do that, and that's fine if they do. But sometimes I think children's leaders think, man, the youth guys don't want anything to do with us because they don't think we're cool. They think we're just a bunch of rule following camp counselors, or
they don't get us.
They don't get us.
Right.
Yeah. Because also too, one of the natural perceptions is that children's ministry is all about rules.
Yeah.
Then they get in youth ministry and no rules.
Yeah.
You can't. You get over in youth ministry. You can do it.
Yeah.
Go. You're nothing if you don't.
Right.
So that's a misperception. So I think a youth person going to a children's person and saying, hey, let's talk about this. What can we do to support you? Because there's a lot of them that youth and children's workers, they never have had some of those simple conversations, and they may even work together for a while to a point where they almost feel awkward having that conversation.
Yeah, right.
But I think it's one of them needs to, and if the children's person hasn't, then I think the youth guy needs to step in and say, hey, let's talk about this, because we're both working with the same group of kids here, and we want what's best for them.
Okay. quick answers. Quickest, easiest way to build trust with their children's ministry, and quickest, easiest way to break or lose trust with their children's ministry.
I think great question. The quickest way to build trust would be initiating conversations and saying, hey, what can we do to support what you guys are doing? Or even just to say, hey, tell me about children's ministry, just so we can see what's going on, just to hear what it's about. Because again, that simple conversation can break down a lot of those misperceptions that children's person may have of the incoming youth person or the existing youth person. So I think the quickest way to build trust is just to show interest in what's going on in children's ministry, what's happening. I think the quickest way to tear down or destroy that trust is to belittle or make the children's people, even if it's deserved, but to make them feel like they're less cool. Right. Children's ministry is goofy. It's all preschool, but now you're in the big leagues. You're in youth. Those kind of attitudes will completely erode trust.
And I get the sense that most youth pastors have this perception of, man, our youth ministry plays second fiddle to kids ministry. Kids ministry gets the space, they get the bigger chunk of the budget, they get the pastor's ear, and
that's just here.
And most children's pastors, except for here, most children's pastors go, oh man, the youth ministry gets all the applause, they have all the freedom, they get right. I mean, we kind of have we each look. The grass is always greener on the other side. Yeah, it's just always is. Okay, we've just got a couple more minutes. Give me one or two things, and I know this is a very broad brush, but one or two things that you go, hey, youth workers, here's one or two things that every kids minister wishes you guys knew.
Okay. One, I would say, I think every children's leader would want the youth worker to know that they really do care about what happens in youth ministry. They just don't always articulate it correctly. Like sometimes it's articulated almost in negative form, like, we always did this, you guys don't.
They weren't smoking pot when we had them.
They weren't smoking pot when we had them. Yeah, exactly. Good chance they have. But
Michaela.
That's cold. That's not right.
She did take a longer nap. Just came out of the room with a bag of Cheetos.
Another thing that the question was, what children's workers want youth workers to know.
Yeah, okay. But haven't told them.
them.
So one is we do appreciate and trust you and care a little bit more than you might think we do.
Right.
If I heard you right. Okay.
Yeah, I think most would say that. Now some, if they were being honest, may say, I really don't trust them. Some children's leaders may say, I really don't trust them. And even their words and their actions support that. Yeah. And how they, because here we always try to prop up junior high. Junior high are our heroes, and we try to prop them up to the parents and say, hey, great phase of life coming up. We totally trust and believe in our junior high leaders. And so that our new junior high parents, the parents who've had junior high kids go through before, they already know that. The ones who haven't, when they hear us say, these are our best friends, these guys know what they're doing.
The best thing you do, the best thing children's ministry at Saddleback Church does for the youth ministry is speak highly of us. That's the biggest gift you give us, is parents constantly hear Saddleback Kids Ministry speaking highly of student ministries. And we've learned, we used to always speak highly of, but once a kid got into our ministry, if they showed up on a Sunday at church with their Saddleback Kids shirt on, we would poke fun at them, right? And we would not meaning to, but we would chip away at the foundation that was built, and we've quit doing that kind of stuff. Now we completely honor, in the same way that sometimes kids ministry can chip away at what's still to come.
Yeah. Right.
And you don't.
Like, there they go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck, guys.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Good luck in the jungle up there.
Hopefully.
You're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate it. They're not gonna know your name.
Well, I think
there's kids with beards up there, and that's just the girls.
I think the one of the greatest things that I even see, like, I've hung out with you guys a lot together. And I think one of the biggest things that we kind of talk about a lot is communication and building relationships. I think if you're in youth ministry and you're building this silo of, you know, I can do this, and you're not necessarily reaching out, you're lacking some things, and you're lacking some wisdom and some, you know, the kids they don't stop and start at junior high or at high school ministry. There is this linear walk for a lot of your core students who've been through children. So if you're not building those relationships on those ends, you're missing out on stuff that you can do. I mean, I could list, if we had time, I could list the resources that you guys have helped us with, and just, you know, what you're able to, you know, help us with. You guys have resources that we don't have, and it's great that we have a relationship where we can go, hey, let's talk to children about this, and not, well, let's figure out what we do on our own, because I don't know what that guy is doing. So,
and you know, you were talking about several things that children's workers wish youth workers knew, and that's so different at every church.
Yeah.
But AC was you're just on to something pretty big, and that is, and that one simple interaction for a youth worker to proactively sit with the children's worker, and even, quite honestly, even if they're not interested, or even if you know relationally I don't really care for that person, or we're just on two different spectrums of the planet.
Right.
But even if you force yourself to do it, it will benefit your ministry, because if that children's leader knows that you're at least trying, if that children's leadership leader knows that at least you recognize that they don't have any easier job than the youth guy does.
Yeah. Right.
If they see that, that's gonna take a little of that hard edge off of the children's leader, and it's gonna take some bullets out of their gun. They just you know, it's like, man, the kinder and the more interactive that youth guy is with the children's person, then the children's person can only say, wow, they have a vested interest here. They're showing it.
And the youth ministry has way more to gain than the children's ministry.
Yes.
In a healthy relationship between the two, right? Because you don't, but if you wanted to, you could send them up to us, wash your hands of the whole thing, and if you wanted to talk poorly about us, we would lose kids that were already up, right? Mm-hmm. If you wanted to talk poorly about us on the front end, we wouldn't even get some of those kids. I mean, we've got nothing to gain by chipping away at the children's ministry, and everything to gain by having a healthy relationship. The healthy relationship between us and you doesn't benefit you a ton,
right?
Other than it's honoring to God, and it's helping the students in their long-term journey. If there's a friendly spiritual path that they're walking.
Well, I would say one, and I think this would be something automatic, but I think our promotion of it helps, is how our kids serve in your ministry, very strongly.
Yes.
And so I think that's probably one benefit from you is, man, not that you just want to give us kids, but hey, if I have some say, if I can see what's going on, maybe I can help, guide students to know, okay, hey, when they serve back into our ministry, we're getting kids that actually understand the program and have been through it and stuff. And so I think that's vital in every area, but especially with kids.
And the give and take, I think we take for granted. Not the give and take. The relationship that allows a healthy give and take, we take for granted, I think. A lot of people don't feel that. I was thinking today I was in a meeting, and for all kinds of reasons, we're taking about 200 and something less kids to summer camp this year. Not because of us, but because the camp switched and now there's less spots available. Well, we had the option of doing 2 weeks of summer camp. It would actually give us a growth window. Like, we could have grown summer camp if we did 2 weeks. The problem was the second week of summer camp fell on your biggest event of the summer, which is our version of VBS. We don't call it VBS. It's our version of VBS. Well, there's close to 300 high school kids that serve at VBS. And for us to say, hey, buddy, we got to put a week of summer camp on there, would have devastated your program. And so we talked to you and we agreed, you know what? We're going to just have to take less kids to summer camp, because where it would have been so easy for us not to even talk to you, or for it to even cross our minds that we don't want to jeopardize, and just I take it for granted. Of course, we're in partnership. And so we need to wrap it up, but I think what we're hoping the youth workers out there are gaining from this is you can have a good relationship with your kid's pastor.
Yeah.
You might not be best buddies. It's easy for us to be good buddies. We're the same age. We have the same interests. It's a natural fit for me and you.
Not always in movies.
Not always the same taste in movies, but with the same interests in life. Our wives like each other, so there's a natural hangout. If you were the
There's food involved.
stereotypical,
There's
that's
food,
a natural,
yeah.
right?
Wings.
Yeah.
It's a natural.
But there's no excuse for us not to have a healthy working relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, we would. You got to figure that out. And if anything today, I think the podcast, we just wanted to say to our youth ministry friends, hey, man, pay a little bit of attention to your children's ministry. Yeah. Look for ways to partner with them. Build bridges. Don't burn bridges.
Yeah.
You know, don't even be satisfied with just kind of this neutral, well, you know, we don't bother each other relationship. Like, look for ways to have a proactive, positive relationship between children's and kids ministry. I'm not sure if anything has mattered as much at Saddleback as that. Now, it's hard to quantify, but that relationship between children's ministry and youth ministry has been enormous for us.
Yeah.
Enormous. So anyway,
it's good.
Dude, thank you.
You bet.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you guys soon.